couple of months ago, my friend Ira Gitler left us. He was 90. He was one of the best friends jazz ever had. I did an interview with him in 2009 and decided to do a documentary using that and also additional interviews with friends and colleagues. You can find that elsewhere here on the Jazz Video Guy YouTube channel or Facebook page. What I have here to show you now is Ira Gitler meets Sonny Rollins. Ira talks about producing Sonny's first recording session for Prestige and also a memory of a gig in Italy at a jazz festival a few decades ago.
Later that year, Sonny recorded with J.J. Johnson for him. I wasn't at the session, but Stan Sands was, and he told me about Sonny. You know, he said he's got a very definite stance and, sound, and then I heard the tests, and I said, yeah, this guy he's in the bebop thing, but he's different. You know, he's got a little different rhythmic thing, and tonally, he's got his own thing going. I was very interested in his playing from then on. Say that the first session I did was when Bob got overstressed and didn't want to be in the studio anymore, and this was the end of '51. And Sonny had recorded with Miles in January '51, and that's when Miles was bugging Bob to give Sonny his own date, and that's why he did I Know, and Miles played piano for him because John Lewis had to hit at 10 o'clock with Lester Young at Birdland, and that's the way that happened. And then, of course, they recorded together in October, and because of Zoot breaking the time barrier, Bob got it in his head to make a record date where it would be more stretch out past 3 minutes, and this is the first time it was preordained before the date. It was really a strategy. So when Miles did Dig and Denial and Paper Moon and that whole session with Sonny and Jackie McLean, that was groundbreaking. And Sonny played so well that day, despite squeaking a few times. The reed was giving him trouble. I guess Bob was finally convinced, and he offered him a contract. And the first date was in December, and Bob, as I said, didn't want to go in the studio anymore for a period of time, and he said, you do the session. Can you imagine that? Here I am on the eve of my 23rd birthday producing Sonny Rollins. And it was, it was a little nerve-wracking. And it was a night when we had a terrible sleet storm, and Bob wanted to cash in on the mambo craze of that time, so he told Sonny to do a mambo. And Sabu Martinez was coming down from the Bronx to play conga, or bongos, or both. But he got stuck in the Bronx because of the sleet storm. So no Latin percussion. And Sonny concocted this mambo bounce, which was a mambo rhythm blues coming out of the head, though it went into 4/4. It was a little tricky, and they just couldn't get it. And so we did many takes. That was before tape. They were on acetate. And I had been to some sessions, so I had some idea of what went on at a session. And I said, let's forget this for a while and go on to some other things. And so, he did other material. Kenny Drew was on piano, and Art Blakey on drums, and Percy Heath. That was the band. And Kenny was nodding out at the piano between takes, and Art Blakey would play his famous press roll ending in a crash, and Kenny would come up from the piano. It was kind of nasty of Art, but he was getting a kick out of it. Percy was the rock that he always was. And finally, we got through Mambo Bounce. It wasn't quite smooth transition, but we got it, and he did Slow Boat to China, because Bird had introduced that kind of into the jazz canon. And we got through the session, and it's still one of my favorites, because it was maybe not Sonny's greatest work, but you could hear that here was an individual stylist, and there was some rough times for him. He was going to Rikers Island the next day. He didn't have a neck strap. Made one out of a wire hanger and some rope. His girlfriend was sitting in the studio with him. I guess it was the last night they were going to see each other for a while. So, this was an historic date, and it was my indoctrination and his first as a leader, and that's one of my favorites. In these countries, jazz is considered with a lot more respect than it is here. So a lot of the performances I heard in these countries were very inspired because of the musicians knowing and getting the reaction from the audiences. Some amazing nights. I mean, Sonny playing in Perugia one year, outdoor concert, and the people just genuinely, not selfishly, but genuinely wanting more and more and more, and Sonny just giving and giving and giving like he can do. I mean, some amazing nights like that.